everybody, rev up your engines and buckle up for the latest episode of Riding in Cars with Real Estate. Realtor, owner, team lead, investor edition. All the things, basically. My name is Marty Fink, loan officer, branch manager, powered by Homespire Mortgage, coming to you straight from my husband's Mercedes. Buckle up and let's hit the road towards real estate success together. Today, we are cruising with Chris A. Williams, owner and team lead of Assets Real Estate Team, a powerhouse group making waves right here in Hampton Roads. Chris isn't just building a career, he's building a legacy. As a dynamic leader and master of cultivating relationships, Chris is dedicated to creating opportunities not just for his clients, but also for agents and partners on his team. Chris's drive for success started early as a standout athlete at Atlantic Shores Christian School, where he learned the values of hard work, dedication, and teamwork, skills he carries into his career today. Chris is also a real estate investor and also knows the importance of making smart, strategic decisions to build wealth and security. Chris has also built an impressive presence on social media, using his platforms to educate, connect, and inspire others in the real estate world. Whether he's sharing valuable insights, showcasing properties, or giving a behind-the-scenes look at the life as a team leader, Chris knows how to use social media to make a lasting impact. And when it comes to unwinding, Chris enjoys catching a good game and recently went to spend time cheering on his Washington Commanders. And he just told me he's going this weekend. I am so freaking jealous. Anyway, buckle up as we dive into Chris A. Williams' journey, exploring his leadership, philosophy, his take on investing, and the role of social media in real estate, and the lessons he's learned along the way. Let's give Chris A. Williams and Assets Real Estate Team a revved up welcome to the ride. Woo! So I am super honored to have you on this. I feel like I followed you since you were in your infancy of being in real estate.
Back in the day,
And I think,
2020?
yeah, and I think I even said a couple times, I like watching your show because every time I see you doing something, you kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm like, wow, look at this guy go.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. I definitely appreciate the kind words. All of it means a lot. So.
It's amazing. I kind of want to jump into like your origin story, like what inspired you. And we already know you've built an incredible career already. At the age of 25, your career is just incredible.
Thank you.
And so how did this, so you built an incredible team leading to Assets Real Estate Team. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to start your own team?
Yeah. So the main reason why I even got in real estate in the first place was to help out others, really. You know, I kind of I didn't know too much about real estate when I first started, but as I started knowing more, I kind of saw a big gap in the real estate industry, and things have changed a lot, you know, from now to then. You know, back then, even though it's been a short period of time, but back then, it wasn't many people who looked like me that were in the industry. And there were a lot of people who looked like me that wanted to buy or sell houses. So, of course, you know, when you want to do a real estate transaction, you want to relate to people that are like you. And then, you know, I was even hearing feedback from people that had went through the process that were saying that had negative feedback, and it kind of ruined their entire process.
Right.
Especially
give a bad taste in
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially if you're a first-time home buyer, you know, first time you buy a house means everything to you. So you want that whole process, the whole package to be complete, right? So that's why I got in real estate myself. And then, you know, a few years later, when I had the opportunity to be able to start the team, I said, of course, I'm going to do this, because now it's not just going to be me that's advocating on behalf of people that look like me, but it's also going to be everybody else on my team. And we're going to give clients quality service, you know. And the great thing about, you know, when I bring on agents, I don't care how old you are. I don't care what you look like. I don't care about your background. I don't care about any of that. I just care, are you going to hustle, and are you going to provide for your clients? Are you going to give your clients the best experience? So being that I have the ability to bring on people, and, you know, it's been a blessing, truly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You have a team of 15 now? Is it 15?
Just about, yeah. I would say 15 15.
That's huge.
Yeah, we're getting bigger by the day, too.
That is huge. And you mentor people, too. That's awesome.
Yes. Yep.
That's awesome. So I know what you just said was like the different than most people in the area.
Mm-hmm.
But what is, to me, it's a competitive real estate market right now,
Very.
and we know that.
Very.
What is, and I know you said because you got into this because you wanted people that look like you
Yeah.
want to buy homes, and you look like them, and you might as well sell them to them. I mean, that's perfect. That's a perfect description.
Yeah.
But also, I'm sure other people are coming to you as well,
Of course.
and they have to be because you are so successful. But what, to me, what is what do you think is in this market? What do you think the one thing is that sets you and your team apart from the rest? Like, what moves the speedometer quicker than anything else for you?
Yeah, one thing I really hone in, and what I tell my agents to really make sure you're focusing on is what is your value that you can provide to a client. Especially when we had that, NAR settlement, things like that. A lot of people were getting scared, and I mean, I can understand it, but also none of that matters, to be honest with you, when it's about the value that you can provide. Because, people will pay whatever for anything. Let's say I have a Ferrari, for example. That Ferrari, if I sell it to you for $100, you'll take it. Versus if I sell you a piece of paper for $100, you're not gonna take that, right?
Right.
Because it's a piece of paper, it has no value to you. But a Ferrari, you see the value in that, so you would gladly take it, even though it's the same exact price.
Exactly.
So that's what I really hone in on them, is really focus on the value you can provide to your people, and then you don't even have to worry about the commission thing. And that's how you get 5-star service. That's how you get your 5-star reviews and all the thing, is just by providing value to the people. And to provide value, first step, you got to listen though. A lot of people get ego and things like that involved, especially after you start closing a few deals. You're like, oh, I'm this hot shot, I can do this and that. You got to remember, every transaction is going to be different. So what you may have done that worked on a previous transaction, that may not work for this transaction. So you really need to listen to your client, and based on what they're telling you they're looking for, focus on what your value proposition you're going to offer to that particular client.
When you started, or well, not even when you started though, like, what do you think now keeps your pipeline full?
Me personally, as an agent, I would say really social media has been, amazing for me. Really, like, I don't honestly, and this, real estate agents that are just starting, don't take this advice. This works for me, but it's not going to work for you. More than likely not. I don't have to prospect or follow up or do any of that, because my social media just keeps on running. But in a sense, it almost like they are being followed up with, because I call my social media, my content, those are like my clones basically. So they're out there working for me constantly. Like, I remember I got an email from somebody, a lender in Michigan, at like 4 a.m. and they said they had saw my content and they were sending me a client. I never even knew this person existed. And it's 4 a.m. They're up looking at my content. So that's really been able to fulfill my pipeline and such. But honestly, for me personally, I'm really focused on building up the team and focused on my real estate investments. So a lot of clients that come in, I am handing them off to agents that are on my team. I rarely keep clients now at this point.
That's one thing I read about you. I had to do a little stalking before I do these.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of that.
For sure.
And if you guys are watching, he was just featured in Housing Wire, which is amazing. That's awesome. They did a great article on him.
Yeah, it was great.
Regarding his social media and how he's used that to build his business.
So when it came to content, one of my things is I personally, I don't like being on camera that much, right? So I didn't want to be that agent, that's doing TikTok dances and, walking through homes. That just really wasn't me. So I'm like, all right, how can I still make content that's relevant for people? And the top 5 tips for home buyers, things like that, everybody was doing that. And I always wanted to be different, do something that was different. So I started doing my research, right? I started listening to people, not just in real estate, but in any industry that are good on marketing, that are good on socials. And I found out probably the number one most important thing is engagement, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I can make what I think is an amazing video, but if nobody engages with it, who cares, So it's like, okay, I'm seeking engagement. That's the number one thing that I'm seeking. How can I get people to engage with my content? Okay, controversial things, right? So if you look at some of my most popular videos, most of the comments are negative on it. You know, people are like, "Oh, I would never live in this house," or "Why would you share this house?" and all things like that.
And
But
every time they say something, that just pushes it up
exact to the algorithm, exactly.
Yep.
Because the algorithm doesn't care about if it's negative. The algorithm, it could be all negative comments, but they see all these comments, so they're like, okay, this content must be good because people are talking about it.
Right.
So that was my strategy with it, and it worked. And yeah, you have those negative comments, but also what was super important to me with the content, I don't care necessarily about gaining followers or likes, any of things like that. I care about leads, because leads I could convert to appointments. I could convert those appointments to closings. So yeah, there were negative comments, but also there was a ton of leads. And 2 years within my career, I was able to build my business strictly off of social media. No Zillow leads, no anything like that. Strictly off of those social media leads that I gained. There's so many different things with socials. Like, I kind of do things unorthodox. You know, when I was seeking advice,
But ethically,
doing my exact, of course, always ethically.
because we have to. We don't have a choice.
Of course, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just my character. I always do. Even before real estate, I always wanted to be on the up and up with everything. But like, I know some people will say like, "Hey, post at least every day," or some people post 10 times a day. That's really never been me. Now I'm starting to get into posting more. I still don't post every day. Contrary to what my marketing team tells me. So if you guys see this, I'm sorry. But I just sometimes I feel like you can oversaturate things. So at my peak, really, when I was getting the most engagement, really, I was probably posting once a week max, if that, but it was working. So that's why I say what works for me works for me. It may not work for somebody else. So it really boils down to, you got to know your audience and know what they're looking for.
Right. So you bought a house, and I know there's a whole bunch of investors that are probably like, "Oh my gosh, we got to hear what he's got to say. What's his magic?" But this was your first flip, right? Or your second?
Yeah, that was my first flip that I had done myself.
And it was successful?
Yes, it was successful.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a fun journey. And I say fun kind of sarcastic because I was so stressed out during that whole process. But it was a great, learning tool. And I know a lot of investors who their first flips, they didn't even make money or they barely broke even. And I was able to, profit very well from that one. So
and that's what floored me, I think, is that you profited. Most people are like, "Well, I'm going to be an investor," and then they end up losing money.
Yeah,
they break even or just lose money. Period.
Yeah.
But that one was a nice one. That was That was a good flip. I mean, congrats.
Thank you so much. I think what helped me with that one is because I already had real estate knowledge, of course, being a real estate agent. So I already knew the things to do. And it's funny because I had wanted to do a flip like at least a year before, but I was always so hung up because I couldn't really understand or grasp rehab numbers. And I had read at least 5 books on it. Watched all the YouTube videos. I was even in the mastermind, that targeted that. And I was just so hesitant on doing it because I felt like I didn't properly understand it. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, like, Chris, like, stop playing. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna fail at some point. You're gonna mess up at some point, but it's okay. But if you stay where you're at and don't do it, it's gonna be 5 years later, and you're gonna still be like, hey, I need to do my first flip. So I just went ahead and did it. Like I said, I made mistakes.
It doesn't have to be perfect the first time.
It doesn't have to be, exactly.
And a flip is like, if you're picking up these houses that you're not doing inspections, I'm sure, on, you're just picking them up.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's like. I would say a gift wrap, but not a good gift wrap. Like
like there's a lot of unforeseen things that come up. I mean, originally not our budget, but our time frame was supposed to be 4 weeks. We ended up going 8 weeks for the rehab. But the way I brought the property, I brought it very smart, so I was able to. It wasn't too much of an issue.
Gotcha. So we know 2024 was a tough year for everybody. But I'm going to ask you, what's been one of the biggest challenges you faced in your real estate career, and how did you overcome it?
Let's talk about, when I started. One of the biggest challenges that I had was just a lack of confidence, because I started when I was 20 years old as a real estate agent, and this is, a beast of an industry, and I had no corporate experience, no anything like that. So, when meeting with clients, sometimes I would get discouraged. I would, even on the phone sometimes, I remember some of my first phone calls, they would ask me, like, how old are you? I'm like, oh man, like goodness. And it's hard because that starts to, weigh down on you. It's like, okay, am I really equipped for this? But, I just have a lot of belief in myself. I also have, a lot of faith also too. And I know that I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be. So I just continued at it. And of course, as you start doing things more and more, you establish the confidence. And by the time I got to my first closing, I remember I asked them at the walkthrough, I was like, okay, like, how was the process? Is everything good? He's like, yeah, it was great. It was amazing. I was like, okay, cool. How old do you think I am? And remember, okay, I was 21 at that. I had turned 21. But he was like, yeah, you're like 28, 29, something. I'm like, yes. All right, perfect. Cool. And then I asked him, like, okay, how many transactions do you think I've done? And then he was like, yeah, you're pretty experienced. Like, this has to be at least your 10th transaction. I was like, let's go. Like, this is great, So that just boosted my confidence up a lot.
On the flip side, what has been your proudest moment?
Proudest moment. There's been so many great moments, I'll say. But if I had to pick one, I'll pick the one that came to my mind first. Is when I first started the team, I took on my first agent that I brought on. He was already licensed for about a year, I'll say, with a different company. And then he reached out to me to join my team. So I took him on as such, was able to provide him with direct training, mentorship, and things to that effect. And I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe within 90 days he closed on his first home. Wow. When he was with me. So that was probably my proudest moment because it's like, okay, cool. Like, yes, it's good enough that I can do real estate, but now I can teach somebody else to do real estate and they can make money to be able to feed their family, be able to spread this knowledge with other people. So that was one of my proudest moments, definitely in real estate over everything.
That had to be. I think when watching you all these years, and when I say watch, you know what I mean, on Facebook and social media. One of the coolest moments of watching you is you posting about taking your dad to the football game. That was amazing. And then you posted or did he post the pictures of when you were little?
I posted them. He posted them too.
Yeah, that was the cutest thing where he posted that he took his dad to the Washington game this weekend and posted pictures of when his dad took him when he was little. Yeah. So that was really, really cool. And I'm tearing up, and I don't even know why. So, but that's the sweetest thing. Like, I would give anything to go to a football game with my dad. Yeah. But that's just awesome, though. I know your parents are proud of you, I'm sure.
Yeah. They definitely are. I definitely appreciate them. A lot of the values and such that they instilled in me as a child, is coming to fruition now. And as a kid, especially as a teen, you're like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. But as you get older, you're like, okay, they do know what they're talking about.
What's your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Oh,
for sure.
I don't Instagram much. Best meal you've ever had?
Ooh, I've had a lot of good meals. Best meal I've ever had. There's not, I wouldn't say like one particular one from a restaurant or anything like that. But if I had to choose one meal, it would probably be crab legs and asparagus. Yeah.
You said asparagus?
Yeah, crab legs and asparagus. Yeah, big fan. Gotta have some vegetables. Or Brussels sprouts. I'm fine with Brussels sprouts.
I like them too. One must-visit travel destination on your bucket list.
Oh, I was just thinking about that because every year for my birthday, I always take a trip, like international. And I don't know where to go this year because I've gone I really wanted to go to Dubai. Like, that was number one on my bucket list. Yeah. And I went last year. So I was like, okay, I already did that. So we don't need to do that again. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about Egypt. I want to see the pyramids.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a little different. Like, a lot of people don't do that. I like that. All right. So Commanders win the Super Bowl. What's the first thing you're going to do?
Scream and thank God.
Are you going to record it? I think I recorded every time they win. Like,
if we go to the Super Bowl, I'm going to be there if we go to the Super Bowl.
Are you really?
Yeah. I made a vow of myself. Every playoff game that we go to, I'm going to be there.
That's a bucket list trip right there.
Yeah,
the Super Bowl.
It sure is. So I just got to sell some more houses so I can afford the tickets.
So, Chris, thanks for riding with me today.
Thank you for having me.
It was awesome.
Yeah, this was
It
great.
was awesome. I like this. And so if somebody wants to contact you, if they want to ask you questions about investing, or if they want to ask you questions about buying or selling real estate, or if they want to ask about coming on your team, how do they find you?
Yeah, you guys can reach me at on all my social platforms. I have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at I am Chris A. Williams. Even if you guys, you don't necessarily want to ask me a direct question, but you want more information, go to my YouTube. I have a lot of free content out there on both real estate agent things and being a real estate investor. So I would say that's a great place to start.
And I found out today, if you Google Chris A. Williams, he comes right up right away as real estate in Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads area.
Nice.
So I just want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure you go over to Google or any search engine and type in Riding in Cars with Real Estate to find all of the episodes, and make sure they're on YouTube. So you can find all the episodes there and find some past people that we have interviewed in the past year. Make sure you like and you subscribe to the channel, and drive safe. And I cannot wait to bring you more dynamic guests like Chris A. Williams.
Nice.
Woohoo! All right.
Appreciate you.
This was fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's fun.